This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
I'm Ray Ward from Kearney, Nebraska. I have Ward Laboratories, and we do a lot of health testing and other soil testing, feed testing, water testing, those kind of things. And three things that I wanted the farmers, ranchers to take care of. And I noticed that a lot of our range and pastures are deteriorating, getting weeds in them, they're being overgrazed. And so I wanted to talk to them about kind of how grass grows. And the one important part of grass growing is you have to have carbohydrates in the root system to make the grass recover faster when it's grazed. And if you keep grazing it down to the ground all the time, like I see some pastures, then the root system gets shallower, and so you don't have as much water. You're more affected by drought than if you had the full root system. And so there's a whole bunch, and then I want, I really think I got to encourage the farmers, ranchers, how to evaluate their situation, because every one of those pastures is going to be a little different depending on where you're located. And I got to do the same thing in my own pastures. And so I'm trying to, it's a new topic for me today. And there's some analogies I use on testing. And Heather, you drive the car, and you get in, and what's one of those things you look at on the dash? And that's the gas gauge. So you say, well, I can get by, or I got to stop and get gas before I can go. So now we're putting nutrients on the soil. Well, what's the gauge? Do you need nutrients? Maybe you don't need anything. And if you don't have a soil test, or whatever test it is, you don't know where you are. And then the other one I like to use is, you pull the dipstick on one tractor, and do you put that much oil in all the rest of the tractors? Or do you check the dipstick on each tractor? Because that implies that you have to, every field, every kind of thing needs to be checked. So you get the right, so you got a gauge for everything, so to speak. Number one, we're saving soil. Because if even NRCS says you can lose 5 tons a year and be in compliance for the farm program and the conservation program. 5 tons a year in 30 years is an inch of topsoil. In 300 years, that's 10 inches topsoil gone. How productive is the soil going to be if you're we lost topsoil faster than that in the past. And so that's number one, is saving soil. Number two is, if I get more organic matter in the soil, and then I got better soil structure, I can take more water in, and I can hold more water, and so I have less water going off. And now if I got more water in the soil and I got microbe life going, and I'm not overdoing the chemical thing, I got better water quality going to the groundwater, or better water quality going off in a stream than what we do in kind of our conventional stuff. Now, negative things, the only negative thing is that I don't understand how Gabe Brown can do all this stuff he's doing with no input costs. And that's great, but how do I get there? That's kind of my question on, and that's why I go to these things, because every time you go, you learn a little bit and you experiment a little bit, and I'm pretty cautious in kind of my reaction, so I don't go whole hog. It's a gradual change.